right. Seth, alcoholic. All right, now I share for 10 minutes. Wow, 10 minutes is not much time for me to tell you really my story, so I'm just going to give you little snippets. But I was born at Cedars. I was conceived. My mom and dad met during the making of a Rolling Stones film my dad was making, and so I'm kind of like a little rock and roll baby. My parents met. They had me. I really had a great family. I guess you could say, like, just a hippie family. I have two little sisters. I was, always prided being a great big brother. My family was, my dad was a cocaine addict, and my mom was totally against that. So I grew up with a lot of fighting and trying to be their therapist and work it out. And like the one thing that I never wanted, like I used to tell myself, like, I'll never do cocaine. Like that was my big thing. Like I'll smoke weed, I'll do this, I'll do that. I'm never gonna do cocaine. It was like the devil to me. And later on in life, after a few of my friends had passed away, I got mad at God and I went and did cocaine. And when I did cocaine, it all kind of made sense. All of a sudden, obviously it's in my blood and my dad did cocaine, but I was a drinker. I did a lot of things, but when I tried cocaine, we became best friends. And, that's been the riddle of my life, dude, trying to get off cocaine. Cocaine is just the curse. And, so basically what happened is I started doing cocaine and it was fun, It was kind of like I was experimenting. All the things when you start doing a drug like that, as well as I was doing a lot of ecstasy and other things, I felt at home and I felt good and I felt great inside my skin, and I was doing a lot of stuff I shouldn't be doing, and I was selling it, and I was, robbing drug dealers, and I was doing all this stuff, and I was listening to way too much hip hop, and like got a little lost in like the whole like tough guy thing, Ended up on America's Most Wanted. And I just called myself mischievous, but it just went overboard. And, then I was sitting in Chino State Prison, and I was like, I really got to relook at my life, and I came out, and I got out, and I was like, I never want to go back to that place. And actually, I haven't, but what happened is I got out, and I was on 3 years of testing, and I was a diehard drug addict, and it kind of made my addiction turn into this suicidal thing, because I would get a dirty test, and I had a 5-year joint suspension, and when I would get a dirty test, I'd be like, my life's over. I'm not going, like, I didn't want to go back for 5 years. And so I would go get high to die. And that's when I started getting high to die. It was kind of like, and in that, dude, I became a monster, I lost all control of what I was doing. There was no fun. It was more like dark rooms, flipping cars, in and out of rehabs. And I mean, we're talking for the last 12 years, and I've come in here and I've had these amazing, my struggle with sobriety, the only reason I'm still alive is because of the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I come in here, I have friends that I've seen here for so long, and one of the things that like I really wanted to get across here is a lot of people come here and they're like my idols. I see them get it, and for a long time I like try to differentiate myself from them, and they come in here and they get it and they stay. And then there's other people who are here, like Malik, or that come in and out of these rooms for a really long time, and then they get it, And then there's other people who come in and out of these rooms and they die. And you can walk out of this room whenever you want, but there's no guarantee you'll come back. And I barely made it back this time. There's been so many chances. Like my 9 lives were gone a long time ago, and I mean, I've been wanting, like, there was a time like that I had some good sobriety, and I was in here. I was working the steps. I felt free. It was actually the best time of my life. Like I made a record. I had a lot of fun. I traveled the world, and then I got all this money, and I did more drugs, and I almost killed myself like 1,000,000 times over. But that's beside the point. But what I wanted to get across is that, like, when you come back to these rooms, I've had this whole like inward hatred thing and like guilt thing of coming back into these rooms and feeling like, why don't I ever get it? or not AA, or trying to find a reason not to like these rooms, or trying to find a reason why this wasn't my solution. You know, and I tried everything that the book talks about. I mean, the book, when they say I relate to everything in the book, I mean, I've tried just smoking weed. I've tried every possible exit from admitting that I'm a complete drug addict, and I can, you know, if any substance whatsoever is going to like connect the dots and lead me to, you know, ultimately to my own living hell. And, you know, and finally, for the first time, like, I am so happy in my skin, and I'm cool with being a complete addict. I'm cool with all the damage I've done, you know. I'm not cool with coming out of the cloud and realizing, like, all the people I've hurt, and you know, I have some, like, insane situations that I created, like, in my addiction. I mean, I can either laugh or I can cry at them, you know. I choose to just, like, soak it up and try to make the best of it. But a lot of the stuff, I mean, I'm coming out of, you know, 15 years of fucking chaos, and I'm cool with it. You know, I walk through these things every day. I have an amazing sponsor. I have friends that have seen me like in and out of these rooms for so long that I love so much. And all I'm saying is, like, never give up on this thing, you know. Always come back to these rooms. Anyone who makes you feel bad after you've been on a relapse, you know, really doesn't understand or get what this thing's about. I mean, we're all here for a reason, and that's because we have a problem with drugs and alcohol. And not everybody gets it on the first try. But if you stick at this thing, you will get it. And even if you come here for short little periods of time, you might be saving your life, because you usually come here when the sky is falling. You know, I found God in these rooms. I found, and right now, you know, like, I'm really finding myself. You know, I'm getting to know who Seth is, and you know, I'm like scraping away the residue and the resin from all the partying I've done. But, you know, life is good, you know, and I have all these things. I couldn't get sober for my kids. I couldn't get sober for my parents. I couldn't get sober for my career. I couldn't get, you know, you hear that, and it's like, the bottom line is every time I went out again, I felt bad about it. And for the first time, you know, I'm getting sober for me. And when I say that, it's for all those other things. But for the first time, you know, it's like, I know how good my life can be if I stop doing this shit. And if I stop the vicious cycle. And I've seen it happen to so many people. I see, like, people have the most beautiful lives in these rooms. And, you know, and that's what it's all about. You know, you come here one day at a time, you walk through all the emotions and feelings that you ran from for so long, you know, and you get up every morning and you thank God that you get to come here and walk through that stuff. And, you know, and slowly but surely, you know, stuff falls back into place. And, you know, I'm a big believer in the steps. I think the steps are amazing, you know, and I think that they help you deal with all the chaos, you know, that comes in an alcoholic's mind. You know, I really, really don't want to act like I know a thing here, but I have lots of bits of information that I've soaked up over the years, and I'm finally applying them. And, you know, I love these rooms. If you're new, welcome to Alcoholics Anonymous. And if you're coming back, stay. And if you're here and you have a lot of time, don't for a second. You know, I always hear people say, well, I thought I could go take a drink. Believe me, you don't want to go take a drink. You know, just stay here. You know, this is the easier, softer way. And people build the lives that they've always wanted to have here. And I love Alcoholics Anonymous, so thank you.